Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel for a long overdue video. A long overdue video for the channel. And today we have highlights of the round 1 of the PSGL Championship on PC. And yeah, I mean heading straight into it, we're looking forward to this season. We've got a huge amount of competition in the shape of nearly a full grid of F1 esports drivers. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun season, and we're just coming in to have some fun and some great racing with the guys I missed racing over this season of F1 Esports. But heading straight into the qualifying, we've got our first lap of mediums done. We're not too happy with that. It's a 16.3, which is not amazing, but it doesn't matter. It's just to get a hand on the track, and we go for our first run of the softs and we dive straight into the pits, as it just wasn't inspiring me with lots of confidence, as it was looking like a 15.9, which wouldn't be safe in my opinion. So we're under pressure. First qualifier of the season, we're under pressure, and it's all down to the last lap in Q1 now. So we've got to be careful in a way here, but not too careful that we get knocked out. So we're going to head up through the first sector here. And we look to the right hand side and we do a low or a mid 0.6, sorry, which is decent enough for Q1. It's good enough to get the job done. So let's see if we can just hold this lap together now and get ourselves through to Q2 and out of the bottom 5. It's looking nice and tidy, much tidier than the last lap, and we're already up more than we were at the end of the first lap. So I'm glad we didn't take the risk of finishing that lap, as there was no guarantee we would have got out of the session with that one. And now we're just being nice and careful, not trying to provoke the car into any sliding, as we come around the last proper corner of the track, and we are about 6 and a bit tenths up. Should be enough. And as I say there, it should be enough, should be plenty to get us out of the session, as we head up to the line now. Should have to buy second set of tyres now. And we come across the line for a 15.6.
No sense.
As you heard briefly there, Danny was not happy at all. He's knocked out in the session due to a glitch that was going on his end.
Last couple of minutes.
So he is out, and he'll be starting in the bottom 5 of this race. But now moving on to Q2, our first run on old tyres, bit of 15.8 in, not happy with that. So we go again on another set of used. We do a mid 0.6, which is a bit better.
That'll do.
But we go one last time at the end of the session on new tyres, as it was Q2. We wanted the fresher tyres, but we didn't improve by a lot. So that was a bit concerning, but we're through, just about. We're through to Q3.
Josh committing to that medium strat.
As we say there, Josh committing to the medium strat, as we were expecting some rain at the end of the race, but we'll see in a bit that would not be the case. But first banker in Q3 out the way. We did mid 0.6, which is not great.
Run now.
Once again, we're doing like 50-50 in terms of laps, good and bad. So it's all down to the last lap now, whether we can get a good lap in the bag, so we can have a good starting position for the race. So here we go now. Open the DRS, heading down the first corner. Let's see if we can take this corner nice and cleanly. It's a do or die corner, and we do it relatively well. Get it slow down nicely for this tight right-hander. It's awkward traction zone up the hill. You have to take the curve to be quick, but it also wants to spin you out. And we look to the top right-hand now. It's a low 0.5 first sector, so it's not too bad. We're in line for a good lap off that first sector, but we just need to hold it together now through the second half of the lap. So we have to send it through here. This is the hardest corner on the track, as it understeers on the entry, and it wants to unload on you. It wants to make you spin as you head up the hill on the traction. And this is a very tricky one as well. Blind initially, and you just have to throw it in and hope. We take it a little bit cautiously. We don't want to throw the lap away. And again, another tricky one. The tyres are screaming at this point. They've had too much. And now we send it through the downhill section. Now we try and get on the throttle nice and early, but it's not quite enough.
I predicted it.
And as we say there, we predicted Speedbari to be going pole on a 0.2, and he's done that.
We'll get a 0.3, but it's not pole.
We come across the line for a 15.3 to 8.
Beast in quali. But we gave him a good run for his money.
As we say there, we gave him a good run for his money, but we can't help but think we've missed an opportunity for a pole position in the first race. But a P2 will certainly take it. It is the right place to be on this kind of game where we have to sit in the DRS and ERS trains. So now we just have to focus on getting a good start. Nice Grand Prix.
Let's get it, man. Luck.
As we say, good luck to our teammate Danny. He's further down the field. He's got some work to do, but he has the pace to come through. So 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go, and we just have to try and get a good traction off the start. The initial stage wasn't great, but the second phase was good enough to hold position. But we aren't challenging Bar into the first corner, but that's okay. As long as we hold position for now, we're happy with that. As you can see, Thomas Ronhar trying to dive down the inside of Alvaro Carreton, and they're going to battle through the first sector. The man who wasn't even meant to be driving in PSGL F1 this season is giving a renowned esports driver a run for his money as we head into the hairpin, and he makes the move stick. Thomas Ronhar gets up into P3. The new Veloce Academy driver is making a name for himself. He wasn't Academy at this point, but I think this is the race that really put him on the map.
Let's not do that.
So now what we got to do is settle in behind Bari. We have no interest of going for the move too early in this race and burning the ERS, because around this track it's almost impossible to regen ERS. If you sit out front or you burn too much of it, it is seriously difficult. So what we need to do now is trying to balance ourselves between Ronhar and Burramand here. So we're going to sit back and relax. Well, not relax, but just sit comfortably in P2 for the time being. As we skip on a few laps later, lap 6, we are closing onto the back of Bari Burramand, and we're trying to stay as close as possible without picking up too much dirty air, because we don't want to be pushed back into Ronhar too much. But you can see the front tyres are kind of struggling. We understeer a little bit there, and that's where Bari's going to shoot off and pull a bit of a gap. And that's put us under pressure from Ronhar here. He's 2.5 cents, and as we say, we can't let him through. We can't afford to lose track position. So we have to deploy a little bit of ERS, which is not ideal. He sets the fastest lap of the race, and we're going to be squeezed and sandwiched between these guys, but we're going to hold on for now. But he is going to pressure us here, so we're going to go semi-defensive. We're going to deter him from going for that move down the inside, and we escape unscathed for now. But we're less than a quarter through this race, so we need to keep our wits about us. We can't afford to be falling into the clutches of the cars behind. We always want to be looking forwards rather than backwards. But that's the first battle done on the race. So we move on to lap 11 now, and at this point I'm seriously struggling on the front tyres. I think it's something in the setup that wasn't allowing the car to rotate nicely through the slightly longer corners. As you can see,
starting to struggle with the grip now.
yeah, as I say there, we struggle with the
Especially in
grip.
second half of the lap.
Bari is starting to pull away a little bit off the exits, and Thomas is starting to pressure us as well.
There goes Alvaro.
Alvaro is the first one to pit from our strategy,
The only one.
and that's our indication that we need to respond. We had no idea when the pit window was heading into this race.
Potentially come out in the lead. He has a good out
As
lap.
you say there, we have to be wary of the undercut from Alvaro there. So we have to try and stay as close as we can to Bari with these worn tyres, and just respond to Alvaro on this lap. We don't want to get undercut. So as you see here, we're going to close right up to the back of Bari, leaving no margin, and using a little bit of ERS to stay close as well. We've still got plenty, 70%, and we'll regen a little bit in the pits as well, so we should be okay in terms of the ERS battle for the rest of the race. So this is just looking at how we can use the rest of these soft tyres. There's no need to look after them anymore. We're squirming on the exits there, and we're still more or less in line. Give a tenth or so with our fastest lap. So we're gonna punish these tyres for the last couple of corners that we have them, and we're gonna dive into the pits here at the end of this lap. Try and keep the track position we have. And as you can see, Bari is going to dive into the pits as well. So nothing is going to happen in terms of the overcut or undercut between us two as we dive into the pits on the same lap.
It's more responding to Alvaro, but looks like these guys are pitting now.
Yeah, as you can hear there, we were just responding to Alvaro rather than following Bari. As we put the medium tyres on, as does Bari. But interestingly, Brendan puts the hards on. And at that moment, we thought we maybe missed a trick, because Jarno Opmeer also started on the hard tyres from outside the top 10. So maybe there's something we're missing here. But as you can see, we're going to be very close with Alvaro on the pit exit, and we just let him go. I did not want to have my front wing or have my car spun from trying to stick it down the inside there. So we let him have the corner. We let him have the track position. So we are in a net P3 now. But what we need to be wary of is Thomas Ronhaar stayed out for the overcut, and we need to make sure we stay nice and close to these guys. We cannot, under any circumstances, afford to be overcut, because that is going to absolutely ruin our race if a car comes out on fresher tyres in front of us.
Hopefully we don't get overcut by Ronhaar with that clumsy first corner.
As I say there, I'm more than aware of that.
Absolute nightmare.
So we have to try and stay as close as possible to these guys coming out the pits. We've got plenty of ERS if we need to use it. And you can see the front end grip is much better on these fresh medium tyres, actually able to hit the apexes.
Holding on with the hards, to be fair.
As you say, Brendan is holding on to the back of us.
Maybe that's why.
And he'll be strong at the end of the race.
Right, so we've got Beresnay and Ronhaar in the pits.
And this is absolutely crucial now. Will we be able to get out in front of Ronhaar? It's going to be close, but we are able to slot in front of him nicely, and that was absolutely critical for our race there. P3 is
any sort of undercut.
Not the ideal place to be in a league race, but P4 certainly isn't. So we'll settle in behind these guys now.
Try and get Alvaro at some point.
As we're already thinking about when to get Alvaro, how we can get him, rather than looking back. We are focusing on going forwards, which is always the right attitude to have. But at the moment, it seems like the pace is pretty strong from these guys, so it's not looking like an obvious looking like an obvious time to overtake. So we still have more than half the race to go. So we're more than happy to sit here for the time being, not waste any of our ERS. We're going well with the pace, so we can relax for a few laps at least, and just settle in behind these two amazingly quick drivers. We can afford to sit here a little bit.
Just trying to get him out of DRS, but it didn't quite pay off.
Yeah, as you mentioned there, we were trying to grow the gap to Ronhaar, see if we could make it into a 3-horse race, but we couldn't quite do it. Even if we set the fastest lap of the race, it wasn't quite enough. So we skip on a few laps later now. Ronhaar's close to the back of us, making sure he keeps the DRS. And it's all getting a little bit close now. The net top 5, all within, such a close gap. No more than 3 or 4 tenths separating each of these cars. Teammates in the pits. Danny is switching on to the soft tyres, I believe, for the end of this race. But as you can see now, Alvaro is picking up the slipstream of Bari, and he's actually going to go for the move down the inside of the first corner. And I think that was the first move of the DRS.
He's doing that on purpose to have some DRS.
As I say there, it may be intentional for Bari to let him through to save some DRS.
So much.
And that gave Ronhaar the opportunity down the inside there, and we gonna have to burn a lot of ERS here to try and keep the position. We defend the middle of the track to try and hold on to this track position, which we do.
So unnecessary to waste DRS there.
But unfortunately, as I said there, we've wasted a crucial chunk of ERS trying to defend there, not even trying to overtake. So that may cost us later on in this race, as it's so difficult to regenerate the ERS.
Harassing me with that lap pressure tyre now.
And I can tell Ronhaar is very keen to get past us at the moment. He's got those fresher tyres, and that's only going to help him as the laps go on.
I think that's a tactical move from Bari, just to get into second, save some ERS. Give him some possibilities to attack at the end of the race.
Yeah.
Alvaro's got the oldest tyres.
We don't know how much battery these guys in front have, but bearing in mind Bari's been leading most of the race, I think it was definitely the smartest choice to let someone else go. He can recharge the battery a little bit more in the slipstream. As we pass Jarno in the pits there, he's gone from the hards to the soft tyres now. As Jeff is trying to suggest we go onto the soft tyres, but we're going to ignore him, of course.
Don't think we are, Jeff.
As Jarno sets the fastest lap of the race. He's not out of the question for this race. If he can have a good run through the traffic, he has the faster tyres at this stage. As we skip onto lap 26 though, I think we're about to see some antics coming up. I'm not sure if they're antics or if it was a genuine mistake, but Alvaro goes
What is he doing?
very wide. I wasn't impressed at the time,
Doing this.
but now we have to be alert to what's going on around us. We can't afford to be faffing around and losing time to the guys behind. We don't want to be put into that train, so we're going to go for it here. 3 wide down the straight on lap 27 of this race. We go from P3 to P1, and that's move done. And maybe not ideal for strategy going into the race, but if you're not going forwards, you're going backwards in situations like that. We could not afford to sit back because Ronha and Beresnay would have been all over the back of us going into that first sector, as I say there. So we've got 7 laps to go now, and we've got the top 5 all within a second or so. So it's absolutely crucial we try and build that gap.
Sit by me until the end now.
So he set the fastest lap of the race, 18.1. Again, 18.1 on the next lap. We're trying to set a good pace there. The gaps are starting to extend between the cars, but as you see here, on this next lap, start of lap 31, Bari is going to go for us here. We're not going to fight him. We don't have the ERS to fight him. We know he has more. So the only chance we have in this race is to try and sit behind him for a lap or so. Try and save anything we can to try and make an attack on him on the last lap of the race, or the last couple of laps as we head into this, the third to last lap now. And this is where we want to be, but we know the guys around us will have a good amount of ERS. As he makes a little bit of a mistake on the hairpin there.
If you want to lead.
And as I say there,
Mess about.
we don't want to mess about in this race. We don't want to be attacked from behind. And I think Bari must have heard us there. He gets a great traction off that and he starts to pull away. I think he saved plenty of ERS and tyres that attack the lap times, if anything, because he has the lead of the race now. So we need to be careful here, not to be dropped out of the DRS, as the gap is already 6/10, and the tyres are absolutely screaming at me at this point.
Tyres are knackered.
As I say again there, it's almost like I know what I'm thinking in the race. It's crazy. But yeah, I think the setup we ran was just too understeery, and as the tyres get old, we really struggle. But we're still able to hold on to the DRS of Bari, so it's not too much of a concern at the moment. We just need to try and save anything without falling into the clutches of Alvaro Carreton here. As we head up the hill one more time, we've got the DRS, we have about 30% battery, and we're just praying at any point to see Speed Bari's ERS light to start flashing. That's how we know he'll be under 10% battery and where he essentially has no power on the straights. That is what we're looking for heading into the last couple of laps, but we're not seeing it yet. As our tyres get older and older, we need to start wasting that little bit more ERS to stay with him, and that's the last thing we need. That is the absolute last thing we need. We need to save as much as we can, but as you can see, we're struggling. The rear tyres are screaming for help at the moment, and not only then, the front tyres are struggling. So as we start to head through the last corner of this lap, or the last proper corner of this lap, heading onto the last lap, we're going to deploy the ERS, but the gap is 6/10. We're not going to be picking up a optimal slipstream as Carreton is much closer. We're starting to drop Ronha now. The top 3 are starting to break away for this last lap, stretching our legs here.
They have more ERS than I do.
And my ERS is pretty much finished, and still Bari's ERS is not flashing. These guys have been able to save more than us in the middle of this medium stint. Us having to waste it battling Ronha may have cost us this race here. As you can see, his light starts to flash, but it might be too late. This is the second DRS zone of the lap, and now we have twisting long corners where the dirty air is going to hurt us. I don't know if we're going to be able to compete. Our only shot is to try and stay super close in the last couple of corners and race Bari to the line, but again, we're trying to get on the throttle super early. The tyres aren't having any of it. But now there's nothing to lose now. We have to send it through the last part of this race. You can see we're not leaving anything on the table here. We have warnings in hand if we need to use them.
GG's.
But as I say, they're GG's. I don't think we can get him. Our tyres will not hold on through this last corner to be close enough.
A bit too quick.
And we do not have the pace through this last sector to put up a fight against Bari. It's going to be a P2 finish for the first race of the season. Setting our fastest lap on the last lap. We gave it everything.
Bastard. GG.
But Bari was just
GG
too
Bari,
quick.
well driven.
So the order stays the
Just
same.
a bit too fast for me.
As the start,
Sweaty.
Bari first, myself second, and Karaton third.
I'll take a P2.
We stay in that order as we started. But
Yeah,
it was
take those for sure.
it was a topsy-turvy race. It was far from easy.
Take it.
And as you can see, they had a confirmation of the race results.
Yeah, just Barry's on such a good level of pace. Just didn't have enough to play with in the last couple of laps. GG man, super strong race. Thank you.
Yeah, and as we say that, we were
Good race, mate.
happy with the P2,
Cheers,
but we
Dylan.
can't help but feel
Thank you, man.
an opportunity for the win slipped away
Um,
there. But honestly, to start a championship in a strong way on the podium, we can't be too disheartened. And yeah, I mean, it's hardly a bad result, finishing on the podium in the first race of the season. Now we see what the level of these guys are, so we have to maybe try and step it up in the next race. But the only thing I'm concerned about in this league racing season is having fun and enjoying the racing around me. So if the good results come, that's amazing. But as long as we have some good battles, I'll be very happy. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this first video of hopefully many. We have a long season ahead of us in PSGL and also WR happening on Sundays as well. So the next video I expect will be Spa in WR. But yeah, hopefully I can get that out shortly. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for updates about that, because that's where I'll be mentioning those things, and also I'll probably talk about it on my Twitch, so make sure to give that a follow as well. Over there, we've got a great community growing in the Twitch and also my Discord over there as well. But that's enough plugging for one day. I hope you guys all loved the video, and I really enjoyed making another highlights video after a year break. But hopefully they'll come thick and fast now through the next couple of months. So that's been me for today, and I'll catch you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye bye.